Welcome to this video about Kate's monologue, which ends the taming of the shrew in Act 5, Scene 2. This is the longest that a woman speaks in the play uninterrupted, but of course Kate doesn't do this by choice. She does it because Petruchio has asked Kate to say something about how women should respect their husbands. This also is significant not only because it gives students the opportunity to analyse language, but also because it goes to the heart of the ambiguity of this play. In other words, whether or not Kate is actually tamed. It depends on your view. Some people think she's generally tamed, and some people think she's just learned to be clever and play Petruchio just to keep him quiet and say any old nonsense. So it's up to you to decide. But again, it does go to show that this play does end ambiguously. We have to question ourselves if this is a comedy, and if comedies are supposed to end happily, then who is the happiest on stage? Regarding the different performances, sometimes you will watch this play and Kate will be played, this will be played straight, so she's generally been tamed, and in some performances she says it almost tongue-in-cheek, suggesting that it's a nod and a wink to the fact she hasn't been tamed, she's just learnt to be clever. So again, it's for you to decide, but regardless of your view, the monologue does actually offer you the chance to make a connection to another part of the play, or analyse language. So this monologue begins with the exclamative fi, which means tut tut, and she's addressing this sermon-like speech to women in the audience, women generally, and more specifically the widow and Bianca on stage, who have disobeyed their husbands publicly by not appearing for the wager. So this is what prompts this sermon. And I want to draw your attention first to the bits in green and purple. We've got two here asyndetic lists of names which are to do with rank, hierarchy and authority. And this is all describing the role of a husband in relation to a wife. So you can see in these terms, thy king, thy governor, thy keeper, thy sovereign, etc., there is clearly an emphasis here placed on this asymmetry between the power of a man and the power of a woman. Whether or not this is genuinely believed by Kate, like I said, is another issue. You could argue this is quite hyperbolic, which suggests that maybe this is ironic, or generally it could be, real or genuinely put. So again, it's for you to decide. We have the yellow similes here, which this idea again of nature imagery. We've seen this before by other characters in the play, where a woman's temper is likened to a frost that destroys young harvests, or a strong wind that knocks all the buds off the trees. So the idea of a woman being disrespectful is like a harsh frost which blights the goodness of their husbands, but also the value of their marriage. In this blue section in the middle, we have again another simile likening women to fountains, and she's saying that shrewish women are like muddy fountains. Nobody wants to drink from a muddy fountain. Unlike a clear fountain. So she's saying that a shrewish woman is like a muddy fountain that nobody wants to drink from. Nobody is interested in that. No men are interested in a shrewish wife, in a shrewish woman. So she's basically saying that if women are lonely, it's their own fault because they need to address their temper and their attitude. No wonder no man wants to go near them. In the pink section at the bottom, we have again this idea of the men's courage and strength being emphasised. And what's interesting about this is that Petruchio, if you think back to Act 1, Scene 2, where he gave that monologue about neighing steeds and trumpets clanging and all that kind of noise and sound, does boast about his own courageousness and his own heroism in war. And perhaps Kate has picked up on that. Perhaps Kate is taking that and using it in this sermon in order to please Petruchio, suggesting that she's aware of his past. She's basically saying here that women are ignorant because they don't know the great courage and sacrifice men have to go to in order to keep their wives safe at home. And again, likening the fact that Petruchio has also been a soldier. So what Kate wants to do is she wants to give the impression that she knows how sacrificial and heroic Petruchio is, and how thankful she should be because of it. As we move into the middle of the monologue, we have again another parallel to the induction scene 2, when Bartholomew said to a sly dressed as a lord about looks, and obedience. And again, it's recapped here. To sum up, she basically says that women need to show their husbands love, fair looks, and true obedience. That's the utopian standard that women should aspire to, which she says are all trivial small things. That's not a big deal, she says, based on the sacrifice that men have to put themselves through in order to keep their wives safe at home. Too little payment for such great a debt. We've got another kind of figurative comparison here to this idea that the husband is the prince or royalty and the wife is the subject or the servant. So again, this disparity, this difference between statuses and power levels. In the green section, we have a rhetorical question in which she basically calls shrewish women froward, peevish, sullen, and sour. If that's the case, then she's a foul, contending rebel and a graceless traitor. She has no grace. So quite strong language there, being quite, you could argue, disrespectful to women, and basically being a traitor to the nobility of their husbands and the heroicism and perfection of their husbands. And in order to add weight to what she's saying, she's basically saying that she is ashamed that women are so simple when they should kneel for peace. She's ashamed that they seek rule, supremacy, or sway when they should serve, love, and obey. So you've got a tricolon there, or a list of 3 of, again, desired feminine characteristics or traits. In those blue sections, it's almost like a parallel. You've got a problem following a solution. So you've got the problem first and then the solution given, suggesting that women have the power to remedy their behaviour to something much more acceptable. And then in the final section of this monologue, we have another rhetorical question, again suggesting stereotypical gender depictions or stereotypes of gender. Women kind of being soft and weak and smooth. You've got a syndetic list there of stereotypical feminine characteristics. And this idea that women are no match for men in terms of power. So you've got the green section, their lances are straws. So women's weapons are actually quite weak in comparison to the weapons of men. She addresses the women as unable worms. Come, come, you froward and unable worms, which again you could argue is quite disrespectful. And in this purple section, she basically uses herself as an example. She says, I was once like you. I was once a shrew, but now I see the error of my ways and how silly I was. So I'm so thankful to my husband for taming me, because I'm a much better person now. Again, is she saying that genuinely, or is she saying that sarcastically? Again, the choice is yours to decide. And the monologue finishes with a token of obedience, this idea of placing the woman's hand beneath her husband's foot as a symbol of duty, and she's waiting for him to put his foot on her hand. He doesn't. He pulls her up, and they kiss. So again, this monologue ends with a heroic couplet, a rhyming couplet of pentameter, 10 syllables, which again finishes the monologue and emphasises this idea of desired obedience that women should show their husbands. So on the one level, this monologue is very kind of farcical. You could argue very absurd and exaggerated, which suggests that she doesn't believe any of this, but she just learned to make up some stuff on the spot in order to please Petruchio because it's what he wants her to say. Or she's saying this genuinely as a genuinely tamed woman. Shakespeare doesn't let us know. It's for you to decide. And that's what makes literature so interesting, and what makes this play so interesting is because audiences are given the flexibility to make up their own minds. I never tell my students what to think. I want them to make it, to know themselves. So the choice is yours. Is she genuine or is she serious? That's, again, for you to decide. So that is all about Kate's monologue at the end of the play. Gives you the opportunity to talk about some lovely language analysis, some lovely use of words and phrases here, linking to perhaps a question that you get for an essay, and being able to link this idea of taming and domestication, and obviously the resolution of the play, and this arguably happy ending. But the question is, happy for who? So thank you for watching, and good luck with your studies. Thank you.